So for the longest time as a photographer, I simply discarded the idea of shooting on the phone, as I'm sure many of you have too. This was simply because I already have a bunch of cameras ready to go, offering a better overall experience, image quality, and so on. But the more cameras and systems I've used over the years, the more this idea grew on me. What if I could use a smartphone for my everyday photography? They say the best camera is the one you have with you. For us photographers, that probably wouldn't work, unless it's forced on us. Because our gear is there and it's ready to go all the time, and we have so much stuff. So, TLDR, after the biggest downsizing in my photography life, I ended up here. I'm committing to using a smartphone as my everyday camera. The goal is to learn as much as possible and apply all the knowledge to become an even better photographer, hopefully. If you have any suggestions, tips and tricks, apps I should try, accessories I should try, please leave them down in the comments. I would really appreciate it. So let's take a look at what I'm going to work with for now. Obviously, the smartphone of choice, yep, iPhone this time around. My first ever iPhone for that matter, that I've bought with my own money. Yeah, you've also probably seen those people in the comments under some photography videos. My iPhone can do that too and stuff. Well, I'm not proud like that anymore, so we're gonna give it a go. And it's better be good. After researching for a while, I quickly figured out that the telephoto, or rather I say everything longer than 24/28 millimeters, is not going to be that great on the iPhone. And universe heard me, I guess, and sent people from Denmark my way. So yeah, we will be checking out their 58mm telephoto lens, as well as some other stuff that they were kind and chill enough to provide for this project. Mind you, no money changed hands, and everything I say are my subjective thoughts, and they haven't seen the video before you guys. The lens is made of metal and glass, attaches with a 17mm thread with a few twists, but you can overdo it just like I did the first time, and in this case your phone will bulge out from the case. But luckily it doesn't damage the lenses on the phone, so it's fine I guess. My approach is screw it enough that you're aligned with the Sandmark logo and the line on the case. But maybe I'm wrong, please let me know. And yeah, all the lenses come in a box, carrying case with the carabiner and mesh pocket, soft bag, cleaning cloth, 2 protective caps, and the universal clip so you can use it without the case or on a different phone. Another lens to diversify the type of shots that I can take with my phone, and for the fun of it I guess, they're a microscope lens. I was always curious to shoot something like that, but my photography jobs didn't provide the opportunity like that for a while. So my dedicated macro lens has to go a long time ago to fund some other projects. This one is a specialty lens for sure. It has a built-in ring light with 2 brightness settings, Type-C for charging, thanks for that, and a decent Type-C Type-A charging cable on top of everything else that came with 58mm tele. The retro filters. The next staple thing to fight the infamous over-sharpened digital look of a smartphone. They could be used on a Sandmark telephoto lens or on the main/5x iPhone camera with the mount adapter. They come in a pair, strong and soft, in a dedicated pouch, a pretty universal clip that I could even use on my Galaxy. Oh and yes, filters can be rotated for the effect control. And one more accessory that probably makes it over the top at this point. The Creator Grip, to compensate for the horrible brick-like ergos smartphones have. Necessary? Probably no. Useful? For somebody with big or shaky hands, I think so. In my case, I like it for the dedicated shutter release and the ability to rotate it while shooting, as well as mounting on the tripod. And the fact that it's made of metal, just like their lenses, is a good and a bad thing at the same time in this case. The good thing is, it's substantial and really durable. And being connected via Bluetooth, makes it possible to use it with Android as well. Well, at least my Galaxy worked with it just fine. But the size and weight will probably compel me to leave it at home more if I'm going out for the casual walk. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely better for the wrist and overall stability. But I see myself using it with heavier attachments like SSDs, LEDs, speed lights, mics, etc. But it's not stealthy enough for street photography for sure. And talking about stealthy things, I like this simple and not crazy overpriced iPhone case that they have. The quality is alright, branding is not flashy, buttons are clicky, and the cutouts are decent enough to even use the gestures on the camera button on the 16 Pro. Yep, camera button, not control. This one has good enough corner screen protection, as well as the metal plates for attaching your lenses. There is a more expensive leather case that they have in different colors, but I haven't had a chance to check that one out. The last accessory is not from Sandmark, but I'll be using it too. In fact, I've been using it for the past few years already. It's an NVMe SSD enclosure. It's not really necessary for the daily use because I have a NAS, but for the bigger projects or video or fast on-the-go transfers, it's crazy fast and convenient. And I don't have to rely on data or Wi-Fi signal. I've learned it the hard way once to have multiple backups. And I've learned it twice during the blackouts. So now, 3-2-1 backup strategy for the win. Bonus round. If you're not big on NVMEs or they're out of your budget, just buy an SD card reader and go with that. I use that one too occasionally. So now let's take a quick look on what type of photos you can take with these lenses and filters. And there's definitely gonna be a follow-up and a lot more in the future. Because I like to give a conclusive opinion after at least 6 months to a year, to stay objective and not to waste anyone's money, to be honest. So subscribe for more and ask me any questions on Insta, Threads, and here in the comments. I always read what you guys say and share, so welcome aboard. Before we do that, a necessary disclaimer. I try to treat the iPhone as a dedicated camera. So I shoot raw DNG in the highest resolution because coming from the actual camera, I need to squeeze as much as possible from the tiny sensor to not get too frustrated in the beginning. You know, it's subject to change in the future, but for now it is what it is. So first comes unedited DNG and then my quick edit in the Luminar. The 58mm tele is nice. It gives more compressed look, naturally separates the subject from the background, more like we used to on the cameras with a bigger sensor. Of course, it's not the same, physics still applies, but by my personal standards and after shooting with digicams for a while, this is good enough. Sharpness is on point and flare is pretty well controlled. Aberrations are nothing crazy or impossible to correct in post. It kind of reminded me of the GT2 attachment for the Ricoh GR3X. The same idea and principle. It's not a dedicated lens as you're adding glass on top of the existing lens scheme, but they combine well enough to deliver a different look. Oh, and you can't get too close with this lens, so keep that in mind and adjust your expectations. The microscope lens. This is definitely a specialty tool. I like it, but your mileage may vary, as with all the products. For me, its main use is creating texture photos. This is something I want to dive into, and the lens's small size makes it convenient and motivates me to experiment more. It saves me from investing in a bulky dedicated macro lens that might not work out for my needs. For learning, it will do just fine for now. Opposite to the 58mm tele, you need to get really close to your subject to have it in focus. And I mean really close, sometimes you're even gonna touch it with your lens. So don't expect to photograph bugs easily or something that's moving. Something stationary will be a better choice. So keep that limitation in mind. But is it fun? Yes. For me, it's fun and even somewhat therapeutic. As I said, they supply you with two, soft and strong. The soft filter is very unobtrusive, but effectively smooths out the digital look by diffusing highlights, giving a nostalgic tint to photos. For me, this is nothing new because I've been using diffusion filters for a while on my cameras. This is a no-brainer must-have for me. Having the additional look in my arsenal is great, and the fact that the bundle includes two filters is even better. I like using the stronger diffusion during the day and the weaker one at night. By the way, this video was also shot with the diffusion filters. Makes highlights a bit softer and makes your skin a bit smoother. As I mentioned earlier, you can use these filters with the 58mm tele lens or directly on your phone's 1x and 5x cameras, but you'll need an adapter from Sandmark for that. On the main iPhone camera, the strong diffusion filter is much more apparent, while the soft one is barely noticeable. This is likely because the 24mm field of view is too wide to fully showcase the effect. Remember, physics still apply. And let's not forget that the smartphone sensor is still pretty small, so adjust your expectations accordingly. The Creator Grip. You probably get it by now. Big and bulky, but rugged and substantial. If you have larger hands, this will be a great addition. You can go through multiple smartphones while keeping the grip, as all you need to replace is the 2032 coin battery to keep it running. There is also a hand strap included for additional stability, along with the Allen key for friction control adjustment. I have another grip that I've casually used from time to time. It's not as well built or rugged, but it has one killer feature that I think Sandmark should include in their version 2 of this grip. It's a detachable shutter button. Sandmark, if you're listening, this would be an excellent addition to the V2 of your grip. Being able to remotely start recording or take a selfie would be very useful, especially for solo creators and travelers. So overall, this is what I have for you this time around. I hope this will be enough for my mobile photography journey, but please let me know if there is anything else I should check out or add to my kit. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And if you stayed for this long, hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and keep on keeping on.